Shalom Aleichem. It's an interesting feeling to be speaking to people that I have never seen before about an event, Tishabeav, that hasn't even happened yet. The difference being that we're looking forward to seeing you and we are not looking forward for Tishabeav. In fact, we hope, Mitzvah Hashem, that this year Tishabeav will turn into a Yom Tov. However, even though it's not Tishabeav today, there is an important lesson that we need to know throughout the year. The Rambam tells us that there were 5 huge tragedies that took place on Tishabeav. The first being the story of the Meraglim. The second was the destruction of the first Beis HaMikdash. And the third was the destruction of the second Beis HaMikdash. The fourth was the huge tragedy of Harugei Beitar, a huge town called Beitar, where millions upon millions of Jews were killed. Those are the 4 first tragedies the Rambam mentions, each one of them huge. The Rambam then says that Uboi bayoyim hamuchon leperonius, on that day which was destined for so much tragedy, Chorash Turnusrupus harosha sahechol, the wicked Turnusrupus, a Roman emperor, the wicked Turnusrupus plowed the Heichel, lekayim mashenema tzion sode techoresh. The Rambam, with the whole introduction, describes to us the 5th huge tragedy. The wicked Turnusrupus came along in the time of the second Beis HaMikdash and he plowed the Heichel into a field. And the obvious question on this Rambam is, the first, the second, the third, the 4th tragedy make a lot of sense. But how can the Rambam count this plowing of the field, plowing the Heichel of the Beis HaMikdash, plowing the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash into a field as a 5th separate tragedy? Surely it's included in the 3rd tragedy the Rambam mentions, the tragedy of the Churban Bayis Sheni. In other words, the 3rd tragedy is that the Bayis Sheni was destroyed. Finished. It's a Churban. It's completely demolished. What is this new tragedy now that the Rambam describes as a 5th tragedy with a whole introduction? On that terrible day, Tishabeav, the wicked Turnusrupus plowed the Heichel. So he plowed the Heichel. The Heichel was destroyed already. The Heichel was a Churban already. What difference to us whether or not he did or he didn't plow a destroyed Beis HaMikdash? And the pshat I once heard is that the wicked Turnusrupus cleverly understood that as long as there is in front of our eyes a Churban, as long as there's rubble, as long as there's destroyed Beis HaMikdash before our eyes, so every Jew that would walk past there would look at it, shed tears, remember the Churban, remember what happened, remember what we once had, remember the Korbanos. He would remember the beauty of that incredible place. That can only work as long as the Churban is in front of our eyes. What the wicked Turnusrupus understood was that now he has to plow that whole Churban and turn it into a field. It's no longer a Churban. You no longer have a Churban before your eyes. Imagine ground zero. As long as the rubble was there, we all remember the terrible events that took place there. Once you remove it and you put something else instead, people will start forgetting. When we read the books, we won't forget, but when you walk past there, you won't remember it in years to come. The Churban Abayis was no longer a Churban before our eyes. Turnusrupus turned it into a football field. That was his clever, wicked plan. Says the Rambam, that is a 5th tragedy. Because if we don't have a Churban before our eyes, if we don't see the Churban before our eyes, then there's no way we're going to long for it and pray for it and cry for it. And that's why we find many halachas that constantly remind us in times of joy. When we build a new house, you have to put a zeichel, a Churban on the wall to remind ourselves that don't think there's something instead. You still haven't got the full simcha as long as the Beis HaMikdash is not here. When someone gets married, we break the glass under the chuppah to remind ourselves, Im layales Yerushalayim alosh simchasi. It's not a full simcha unless we have our Beis HaMikdash. We have to work on keeping the Churban before our eyes. Once we have a Churban in front of our eyes, then and only then can we long for it and yearn for it and try to rectify the Aveirus for which it happened in the first place. As we know, the Chofetz Chaim tells us one of the major causes for the second temple to be destroyed was the Chet of Lashon Hara. The Chofetz Chaim proves that it's included in Sinas Chinam. And Lashon Hara is something which has caused us to be in Golus for thousands of years. In fact, the Klosenberger Rebbe makes a calculation that the first Beis HaMikdash, which was destroyed because of the 3 cardinal sins, we went into Golus for 70 years. The second Beis HaMikdash, which was destroyed because of Lashon Hara, we've been in Golus for more than 25 times 70 years. But if we want to work on this, we want to work on being Masakin the Chet, the first thing we have to do is read that Rambam carefully and realize we have to somehow or other dig up that Churban and have it in front of our eyes. Whenever we go on Tishabeav, we sit on the floor, and most of Tishabeav we take our kinnis and our eichos and eichah and we put it on the top shelf in the house and we forget about it. No, we have to keep the kinnis, we have to keep the eichah on the middle shelf. Keep it before our eyes, and that way hopefully we will keep the Churban alive. And if the Churban is alive, we'll long for the Beis HaMikdash, and Be'ez Hashem, we will be masakin the averas we did that caused the Churban Habayis, and Be'ez Hashem, we will all be zeicha to the binyan Habayis, the Meher of Yameinu. Amen.